The question from Twitter is, how much of Fit Finley do you see in his son, David Finley?
Oh, a lot. I don't think we've even seen the
What he's going to
how
do,
can I
right?
put this? Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
he's good, man.
It's just not. It's so good, and he's. I mean, we saw him on AEW the other week. He's just in there's things that he does that I see that he's in a different league as far as a lot of people, as far as the little in between things, stuff that you won't notice or people won't notice or shouldn't notice really. But he just does things incredibly well, and it's a strange thing when I see him because I used to babysit him, and my wife did, and he's a lovely lad, and it is just it, when he gets to finally be let loose, which he will do one day, because it's undeniable how good he is. When he gets let loose, everybody's in for a treat because he's a
I,
special lad.
I totally agree with my lack of expertise compared to yours, but as a fan, I'm a big fan of David Finley. Um,
Yes.
this is a question from Patrick Taylor on Twitter, and that is,
Hello, Patrick.
yes, Patrick, thank you for writing us. And this could be your favorite, but he's asking, what is the best match you ever saw Fit compete in?
Ooh, right. I do know that. So I've seen so many. I mean, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. Right. My the best match that I ever saw was in 1991 in Warrington. I believe it was 91. Could be a year or so either side. And it was in Warrington, England, and it was against it's the Par Hall is the name of the building, and it was against Kung Fu Eddie Hamill, who is the man that helped train him, and who, along with Fit Finley's dad, sort of created the Irish wrestling scene. And it was an unusual night. It was always a great building, but in the balcony, we just talked about before about when you have wrestling fans or fans there that aren't particularly there for the wrestling. In the balcony, for some unknown reason, there was a lot of college students. I don't know that, and this was a regular place we did, so that they stood out. That why are they there? They're not. That's not usually, and they're they you get to know the crowds because you see them every month or every 2 weeks or whatever it was. Every month in those days, I think there's a lot of young people sat in the balcony, and then they're not fans. So I don't know what possessed them to come to wrestling. And everybody that was going on, they were heckling them and not just, I don't know, just to be annoying, it seemed, when I was watching, because I hadn't gone on yet. And Fit went on there with Eddie Fu, Eddie Hamill. And by the 3/4 away through the first round, they had him. And they had these people who thought they were too smart to be wrestling fans. And again, in a different day and age, before there was, especially in England, there was no sort of internet or insider stuff going on. Had these fans going insane. They just knew exactly how to manipulate them to make them have the full wrestling experience, and they're cheering and booing exactly at the right time. and captured the imagination, and it was fantastic. Is one to add to the list. There's a real great match to watch. Um, Finlay and Rocky Moran, who as Rocky was trained by Fitz' dad, and I believe I'm not sure about Eddie Hamill, but definitely Fitz' dad, um, against Kung Fu Eddie Hamill and Iron Fist Clive Myers, and it's a fantastic tag match. It's on YouTube. It comes round to the end of the match, and Fit and Rocky feed Kung Fu one of my favorite ever comebacks of all time. They 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 obviously respect him a lot. He's held in high esteem by them, and they make sure that they make him look like the greatest babyface of all time with this comeback.
Right.
So that's another one that's worth watching if you want to watch how good Fit. Well, if anybody in that match, because there's a lot of people don't know this, especially like Rocky Moran was really good, and Eddie Hamill. Iron Fist is somebody that a lot of the late 1999 and early 2000 tape traders know, because there's a match of him and Steve Gray that was highly influential with a lot of young American wrestlers. But there's not too many people know about Kung Fu, and at this particular time he was in his 40s, maybe late 40s, and he was just brilliant. But they make sure that they feed him for this comeback, and it's fantastic. But the match in Warrington, and again, lost a history on it because not a lot was filmed in those days. But Kung Fu against Fit Finlay at the Par Hall in Warrington. I've seen many matches with Finlay and Dave Taylor, just fantastic together. They were chasing each other for the British Heavyweight Championship at the beginning of 1992, and that was the last 2 months that I wrestled in England. March the 1st, I went away to India, and then I was in different parts of the world all the way through until Christmas, and then I came to America after that. But those two, every match was incredible. And I was on a lot of them, the shows. We were working. Business was TV business went down a little bit after TV stopped in '88. In 1990, the end of 91 and 92, it was booming for all-star promotions. It was absolutely booming. And a lot of that was down to Fit Finlay and Dave Taylor chasing each other for the British Heavyweight Championship. And it just all posters and word of mouth, no TV. And people were coming, and they had fantastic matches. There's too many. There's just so many. I mean,
Well,
people that there's everybody. If you'd have been around, you saw whatever you saw of Fit Finlay, you saw from the mid-90s. If you would have seen, well, getting into the later 90s, because he was here for a short 3 months in 1996 when I did the stuff with him in WCW, which a lot of people at the time couldn't care less about an Englishman and an Irishman beating the life out of each other, but that's seemed to have stood the test of time. People still talk about that stuff. But then he came back in 97 and he had certain times that he was on with the right people, and and then he had an incredible WWE run. But if you'd have seen him in the 80s, and I did all the time, there wasn't even if it wasn't a great opponent, there wasn't a bad match. He was the best. He was the absolute best. Terry Funk's gone on record of saying he was the best he'd ever seen.
well, this has
I mean,
been I'm sorry, was there something else you want to say? I didn't mean to cut you.
No, I mean, he was just, he was so good and s so credible and just a heat-getting machine and just knew exactly what to do and proved it. You know, he was in his 50s when he was doing stuff in WWE and
Mhm.
made people believe that, you know, he had a different style and only had one leg at that time as well because he had the accident in WCW. That's another thing. I mean, you know, it's not something he's not giving away a secret here. He had an accident in WCW where it severed through his. It looks like he's got a shark bite on his calf. So anything you saw of him in WWE, from the knee down, he has no feel in his leg. His leg is completely dead
Wow.
and dropped, and he still did those incredible matches and the Rey Mysterio
Mhm.
stuff and whoever he wrestled in WWE, he's doing that on one leg,
Wow. Well, that is something.
and he's training people still today. And me and him last year in the PC, just that there was a group of people there, and a lot of the top names that have either still with WWE or moved on to AEW were around the ring or stood on the apron, and me and him got in the ring and just wrestled each other, and they were all just stood with their mouths open.
Wow, that must
And
have been something, man.
that's like 60. He's 60 whatever, and I'm 54. I was 54. So, well, I was 53 then, and I've gone. It was, we had, chemistry. A lot of matches I saw him have with Marty, incredible. You can see a lot of that's on YouTube. A lot of matches with Danny Boy Collins, they were perfect opponents. If you want to watch some of the stuff from the 80s, he was just the best. And we both say that, you've heard me say this over and over on this show because I mentioned him so much because he was such an influence on me. But Terry Rudge, both me and Fit, people seem to think we're whatever we are, and I think Fit's the best. We both say that Terry Rudge is the best wrestler we ever wrestled. And then the next down the list will be Pete Roberts. So we've both been very fortunate to wrestle incredible wrestlers. But I all around everything. Now, all around everything, Eddie Guerrero rates up there with me as the best because of the once he figured the entertaining stuff out. But Fit Finlay, as far as the actual wrestling wise and believability wise, Fit Finlay was the best.